There's a certain rhythm to the way the morning light spills through the crack in our bedroom blinds. A thin golden line that cuts across the foot of the bed like a silent alarm. I'm Juliet, 37 years old, and I've learned to read that light like a clock. It tells me Harvey's already up, probably tinkering with his coffee maker downstairs, the faint clink of a spoon against ceramic drifting up through the floorboards. My husband, Harvey, is a man of few words, a steady presence who drives for a big company, hauling goods across state lines while I'm left to navigate the smaller, quieter roads of our life. We've carved out a modest existence in our suburban home, a little box of a place with peeling paint on the shutters and a backyard that's more weeds than grass. The hum of routine is our soundtrack. Dishes clinking, the dryer rumbling, the distant bark of the neighbor's dog. It's not a bad life, just a small one, contained within these walls that sometimes feel more like a cage than a shelter. I roll out of bed, my bare feet hitting the cold floor, and I'm already thinking about the day ahead. A few weeks ago, I started a new job, something to fill the hours and the bank account. I'm a caregiver now, looking after Harvey's boss, Mr. Bennett, a 63-year-old man whose knee gave out on him years ago, leaving him reliant on others for the simplest things. His house sits on the edge of town, a grand old beast of a place with creaky hardwood floors that groan under every step, and heavy velvet curtains that block out the world. It's a far cry from our little home, all faded wallpaper and chipped countertops. Walking into Mr. Bennett's place is like stepping into a different era, one where time stopped somewhere around the turn of the last century. The air smells of old books and liniment, and every room feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. My role there is simple, but it's everything to him. I'm his hands when his tremble too much to hold a cup, his voice when he needs to call out for something from across the house, his tea maker when the kettle's too heavy to lift. I'm the one who helps him down the narrow staircase, one slow step at a time, my arm looped through his as he grips the banister with a white-knuckled hand. I fetch his medicine from the cluttered bathroom shelf, making sure he takes the right pills at the right time, and I adjust the cushions behind his back when he settles into his armchair by the window. It's mundane work, the kind that blends 1 hour into the next, but there's a strange intimacy to it. I'm in his space, touching his things, hearing the rasp of his breath as he shuffles from room to room. I'm the bridge between what his body wants to do and what it can't. Harvey drives me there on the days when his schedule aligns with mine, and those rides have become a kind of ritual. His old sedan smells like worn leather and stale coffee, the kind of scent that clings to the seats no matter how many times you crack the windows. The engine hums low and steady as we cut through the quiet streets on the edge of town, passing rows of neat little houses until the landscape opens up into wider, greener spaces. I watch the world blur by through the smudged passenger window, the trees lining the road like silent sentinels, their leaves catching the morning sun in flashes of gold and green. Harvey doesn't say much during these drives. His hands grip the steering wheel with a kind of practiced ease, his jaw set in that familiar, unreadable way. Sometimes I catch him glancing at his phone when we're stopped at a light, scrolling through messages or news with a flick of his thumb, but mostly he just stares ahead, lost in his own thoughts. I don't mind the silence, though. It's easier than trying to fill it with small talk that neither of us really means. When we finally turn onto Mr. Bennett's long driveway, the sound of gravel crunching under the tires feels like a signal, a shift from one world to another. The house looms ahead, all sharp angles and weathered brick, surrounded by a manicured lawn that looks too perfect to be real. Harvey pulls up to the front, cuts the engine, and just sits there, not even looking at me as I gather my bag from the back seat. He'll wait in the car like he always does, either hunched over his phone or gazing out at the expanse of green. his face blank as if he's somewhere else entirely. I've stopped asking if he wants to come in. He never does. So I step out, the gravel biting into the soles of my shoes, and make my way to the heavy oak door, feeling the weight of his silence behind me. Inside, the air is cooler, heavier, carrying that familiar mix of liniment and old books that seems to seep into every corner of Mr. Bennet's home. I call out a soft hello as I hang my coat by the door, and I hear the slow shuffle of his steps before I see him. He's always waiting in the living room, settled in his armchair or standing by the window with his cane propped nearby. I move to his side, slipping my arm under his for support, and I can feel the slight tremble in his frame as we ease toward the couch or the dining table, wherever he wants to settle next. His steps are deliberate, each one a small victory, and I match my pace to his, letting him lean on me just enough. When I bring him his tea, the clink of the porcelain cup against the saucer echoes in the quiet room, a tiny sound that feels louder than it should. I set it down carefully, making sure it's within his reach, and he murmurs a polite thank you, his voice low and gravelly, like he's not used to speaking much. There's something about those quiet moments with Mr. Bennet that starts to shift over the weeks, something I can't quite name at first. His glances linger a little longer each day, his eyes catching mine in a way that feels heavier than a simple acknowledgement. The silences between us grow dense, charged with an unspoken weight that makes my skin prickle. And his thanks, those murmured words of gratitude, begin to carry a warmth that feels too personal, too intimate, like they're meant for more than just the cup of tea or the adjusted pillow. It's a warmth that seeps into me, unfamiliar and intoxicating, stirring something I haven't felt in years. I try to brush it off, to focus on the tasks at hand, but it's there, growing, like a shadow I can't outrun. Then comes a day that changes everything. It's a rainy afternoon, the kind where the sky hangs low and gray, pressing down on the world like a heavy hand. I've finished my usual tasks, helping Mr. Bennet with his lunch, tidying up the kitchen, making sure his evening pills are set out on the counter. I'm about to grab my coat and head out to where Harvey waits in the driveway when Mr. Bennet's voice stops me. It's soft but firm, cutting through the steady patter of rain against the window. "Juliet, could you stay a bit longer today?" There's something in the way he says it, a quiet urgency that makes my stomach twist. I hesitate, glancing out the window at Harvey's sedan, the faint outline of him in the driver's seat, oblivious to the storm brewing inside this house. But I nod, mumbling something about it being no trouble, and I stay. We're in the living room, the dim light casting long shadows across the worn rug. The rain drums a relentless rhythm on the glass, a sound that seems to echo the pounding in my chest. I'm standing near his armchair, handing him his afternoon pills, when his hand brushes mine. It's not an accident. I can feel the deliberate slowness of it, the way his fingers linger just a moment too long. My breath catches, and I look at him, really look at him, for the first time in a way I haven't allowed myself before. His eyes are steady, searching, and then he speaks, his voice low and deliberate, like he's been holding these words for a long time. "You're rare, Juliet." That's all he says, but it's enough. My heart races, a wild, frantic thing in my chest, because I understand what he means. I feel the implications settle over me like a weight, heavy and undeniable. I should step back. I should say something, anything, to break this moment, to remind myself of Harvey waiting outside, of the life I've built, of the lines I shouldn't cross. But I don't. Instead, I stand there, frozen, torn between guilt and a curiosity I can't suppress. There's a desperate need clawing at me, a hunger for something beyond the stale, predictable rhythm of my days. My life with Harvey, it's safe, it's steady, but it's empty in ways I've never dared to admit out loud. And here, in this dim, rain-soaked room, with Mr. Bennet's gaze holding mine, I feel seen in a way I haven't been in years. It's a dangerous feeling, one that pulls me under before I can stop it. What happens next? I don't know how to explain it, how to justify it, even to myself. It's like I'm watching someone else, someone braver and more reckless than I've ever been. We're by the window, the leather armchair creaking under his weight as he sits, and I'm standing too close, closer than I should be. Outside, through the rain-streaked glass, I can see the faint shape of Harvey's car in the driveway, a reminder of everything I'm risking. But I don't pull away. Mr. Bennet reaches for me, his touch slow and certain, like I'm something precious, a treasure he's hesitant to claim but can't resist. His hand rests on my arm, then moves to my waist, and I don't pull away, not yet. My mind is a storm, swirling with guilt and desire, but my body stays rooted, caught in the gravity of the moment. The rain outside keeps falling, a steady curtain that blurs the world beyond the window, and for a fleeting second, it feels like we're the only two people in existence. But that illusion shatters when I catch another glimpse of Harvey's car through the glass, a dark shape in the downpour, waiting for me. Reality crashes in, cold and sharp, and I step back, mumbling something incoherent about needing to go. Mr. Bennet's hand falls away, his expression unreadable, and I turn toward the door, my legs shaky as if they might betray me at any moment. I grab my coat from the hook, fumbling with the sleeves, my breath coming in short, uneven bursts. I don't look back as I step outside, the heavy oak door closing behind me with a thud that feels final, like I've just sealed something away I can't undo. The rain hits me the moment I'm out, cold droplets stinging my face as I hunch my shoulders and hurry down the gravel path. My hands tremble as I adjust my coat, pulling it tighter around me, not just against the weather, but to hide any trace of the chaos I'm carrying inside. My heart is a drum in my chest, each beat loud enough that I'm sure it could be heard over the patter of rain if anyone were close enough to listen. I can see Harvey's sedan now, parked exactly where it always is, the faint outline of his silhouette in the driver's seat cutting through the haze of water on the windshield. The dashboard light casts a dim, eerie glow across his face, just enough to show the hard set of his jaw, the way he stares straight ahead as if he's been waiting too long. My stomach twists as I approach, each step heavier than the last, like I'm wading through mud instead of walking on gravel. The passenger door opens before I even reach for the handle, a silent gesture from Harvey that feels more like an accusation than an invitation. I slide into the seat, the damp leather creaking under me, and I keep my eyes down, fixed on my hands in my lap, unable to meet his gaze. The door shuts with a soft click, sealing us into this tiny, suffocating space. The silence in the car is thicker than the rain outside, a heavy, oppressive thing that presses down on me until I can barely breathe. The smell of damp leather and stale coffee fills my nose, familiar but somehow sharper now, like every sense is heightened by the weight of what I've just left behind in that house. The windshield wipers swipe back and forth, a rhythmic squeak that's the only sound between us, each pass marking another second of this unbearable quiet. I steal a glance at Harvey's hands on the steering wheel, noticing how his knuckles are pale, his grip tighter than it needs to be, like he's holding onto something more than just the wheel. My pulse races faster, a frantic rhythm that I'm sure he can somehow hear, and I clench my own hands together to stop them from shaking. I want to say something, anything, to break this silence, but every word I think of feels like a confession, like it would spill everything I'm trying to bury. So I stay quiet, my breath shallow, my mind racing with the memory of Mr. Bennet's touch, the warmth of his words, and the cold reality of Harvey sitting right beside me, oblivious. Or maybe not. I risk a glance out the window, back toward the house, and that's when I notice it for the first time. The heavy velvet curtains in Mr. Bennet's living room window are drawn shut. I don't remember them being closed when I was inside, not during the day. They're always open, letting in what little light can pierce through the gray of afternoons like this. My breath catches in my throat, a new kind of dread creeping up my spine, cold and insidious. Did he close them after I left? Or were they shut the whole time, and I was too distracted to notice? My mind spins, grasping for explanations, but each one feels flimsier than the last. The uncertainty gnaws at me as Harvey starts the engine, the low rumble vibrating through the seat and into my bones. We pull away from Mr. Bennet's house, the gravel crunching under the tires one last time before we hit the smoother asphalt of the road. The rain hasn't let up. If anything, it's heavier now, a relentless sheet that blurs the world outside into a mess of gray and shadow. The windshield wipers struggle to keep up, their frantic swiping doing little to clear the view. And it feels like we're driving through a fog, cut off from everything but this suffocating space between us. I keep my eyes on the dashboard, on the faint glow of the radio display that's tuned to nothing, just static humming faintly in the background. The cold air from the vent brushes against my damp skin, sending a shiver down my spine that I can't blame entirely on the weather. My coat still clings to me, wet and heavy, and I can feel the chill seeping into my bones. But I don't move to adjust the heater. I don't dare make a sound, not when the silence in this car feels like a living thing, a beast waiting to pounce the moment I give it an opening. Harvey's presence beside me is a weight, his silence louder than any words could be. I can feel him there, the tension radiating off him in waves, and I just know, he sensed something's off. My heart hammers against my ribs, each beat a reminder of what I've done, of the line I've crossed, and I wonder if he can hear it, if he can feel the guilt rolling off me like heat from a fire. The road stretches on, endless and empty, the hum of the engine a constant drone that fills the void where conversation should be. I steal a glance at Harvey, just a quick flick of my eyes, and I see the way his jaw is clenched, the muscle ticking faintly under his skin. His hands are still tight on the wheel, his gaze locked on the road ahead, refusing to meet mine even for a second. It's like he's built a wall between us, brick by brick, in the short time since I got into this car. And then, out of nowhere, his voice cuts through the silence, low and controlled, but carrying a raw edge I've never heard from him before. I saw the curtains close. He never closes them, except when you're there. The words hit me like a punch, sharp and sudden, stealing the air from my lungs. I freeze, my body going rigid in the seat, my hands clenching so hard in my lap that my nails dig into my palms. My mind races, a frantic scramble for something to say, an excuse, a lie, anything to deflect the accusation hanging heavy in his tone. But nothing comes. My mouth opens, then closes again, the words dying before they can form. I'm caught, exposed, and the weight of his suspicion presses down on me until I feel like I might crack under it. The hum of the engine seems louder now, a mocking backdrop to the chaos in my head, and the cold air from the vent feels like ice against my skin, chilling me from the inside out. I want to look at him, to see the expression on his face, to gauge just how much he knows, how much he's pieced together from that one small detail. But I can't. I'm too afraid of what I'll find in his eyes. Anger, betrayal, or worse, a quiet, resigned pain that would cut deeper than any shouted words. So I keep my gaze forward, staring at the rain-smeared windshield, watching the world blur past us as if I can escape into it, as if I can outrun this moment. But there's no escaping. Not from him, not from myself. The truth is a splinter under my skin, impossible to ignore, and Harvey's words keep echoing in my mind, each repetition sharper than the last. He saw the curtains close. He noticed. He's been watching, maybe for longer than I realized. Inside, I'm a storm of conflicting emotions, guilt and defiance crashing against each other, with a violence that leaves me breathless, torn apart by the weight of what I've done and the undeniable pull of what I felt in that moment with Mr. Bennett. The car slows as we near our street, the familiar shapes of suburban houses emerging through the rain like ghosts of a life I'm not sure I belong to anymore. Harvey pulls into our driveway, the tires crunching over the uneven pavement, and cuts the engine with an abruptness that jars me. The silence that follows is deafening, heavier than before, as if the world itself is holding its breath. I don't move, not yet. I can't. My hands are still clenched in my lap, my body rigid, waiting for something, anything, to break this unbearable tension. But Harvey just sits there, staring out the windshield at the rain cascading down in relentless sheets, his face a mask of stone. Finally, he opens his door, the creak of the hinges slicing through the quiet like a knife. Cold, wet air rushes in, carrying the scent of damp earth and asphalt, and I feel it sting my cheeks as I force myself to follow. I step out of the car, the rain hitting me again, harder now, soaking through my already damp coat as if it's determined to wash away every trace of warmth I've ever known. My shoes squelch against the wet ground, each step toward our front door feeling like a march to some inevitable reckoning. Harvey is ahead of me, his broad shoulders hunched against the downpour, his boots leaving muddy imprints on the cracked walkway. We move like strangers, two people who've shared a bed for years, but suddenly don't know how to exist in the same space. There's a chasm between us, wider than the driveway, deeper than the rain puddles pooling at our feet, and I know I'm the one who dug it. We reach the porch, and I fumble with my keys, my fingers numb from the cold and trembling from something deeper, something I can't name. The door swings open with a groan, revealing the dim, familiar interior of our home. A place that once felt like a refuge, but now feels like a trap. I step inside, the air inside stale and heavy, smelling of yesterday's coffee and the faint must of dampness that always creeps in during storms like this. Harvey follows, his boots thudding against the hardwood floor, a slow, deliberate rhythm that echoes in the quiet like a heartbeat. I don't look at him as I hang my coat on the rack by the door, the wet fabric dripping onto the floor in a soft, steady patter that mirrors the rain outside. My movements are mechanical, rote, as if focusing on this mundane task can somehow anchor me, can keep me from spiraling into the abyss of my own thoughts. But it doesn't. The weight of his presence behind me is suffocating, a silent accusation I can't escape. I hear him kick off his boots, the sound sharp and final, and then the creak of the floor as he moves past me toward the kitchen without a word. I stand there for a moment, frozen by the coat rack, staring at the droplets pooling beneath my hanging jacket, each one a tiny mirror reflecting the dim light overhead. My chest tightens, a dull ache spreading through me as I realize we're not even looking at each other, not even acknowledging the storm that's raging between us. It's not just the rain outside, it's the unspoken truth, the crack in our marriage that's been there for years, but has now split wide open, irreparable and raw. Harvey saw enough today, even if he didn't see everything. He saw the curtains close, and in that small act, he saw me, really saw me, for the first time in a long time. And I know he understands, even if he doesn't say another word. The silence is his confrontation, his judgment, and it cuts deeper than any shouted argument ever could. I move slowly into the living room, my socked feet silent on the worn carpet, and I sink into the old armchair by the window, the one with the faded upholstery and the spring that always digs into my back. The house is dark, the gray light from outside barely filtering through the blinds, casting long, jagged shadows across the room, and as I sit there, I close my eyes and let the familiar creaks and whispers of the house lull me into a gentle, comforting solitude. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.